Michael, you have some new glasses.
They talk to me.
This is Auto Collabs.
I mean, I thought, well,
Michael, let me break it to you.
I
Those
thought
are
he was
just the
try-
voices in your head. They've
Yeah.
always been there.
that's just what they did to make you feel better about it. It's a new therapy. They give you glasses. They say talk to you so that you think it's, oh, I'm normal, but you're not. I actually thought you were trying out to be the new lead singer of Weezer.
Oh, that would be, man, that you just brought me right back to the 7th grade.
I mean, I would pretty much trade. I would, yeah. I mean,
This is how
guys,
I know
just so
it's
you
not
know,
the
guys, if
voices in my
Weezer
head.
calls me one day
You're gone.
and is like,
See ya.
hey, we need a new front man or we need a drummer, like, you're just never going to see me again. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Pretty much any band. Like I have
Oh,
this,
really? Any band? You'd trade us for any band?
Well,
He's
no.
like some death metal band done.
Guys, I don't know if you saw these shorts
Jonas
that Nathan's
Brothers
putting out. The audience is throwing me under the bus, bro. I don't
Are
think
they? I'm missing this.
you got the better beards. They'd rather be your friend than
All
go
the
in
comparisons.
business with you.
Listen. It's
I'm like,
just
any
exposure.
Band, at this point, I'd take any band. At this point, I would take I'd join the Wiggles.
Look,
Strangely
the Wiggles
enough,
go hard with the kids.
Strangely enough, that is probably the most likely band to call you because you would make an amazing Wiggle.
Just amazing.
I'd be the hype guy, like the Mighty Boss Tones.
Yes.
I'd wear a gray suit in the background
with Jack Black vibes in your dancing,
just kicking everywhere.
Well, all that has nothing to do with the fact that we are hanging out with Sanjay Varnwal from spyneai today.
talking AI, man.
We're talking AI. We're going to be way more intelligent, hopefully, than us talking about the Wiggles. But if you want to listen to the Wiggles, you can find that wherever you want to.
Sanjay's easily going to bring the collective IQ average up by many points
Way up.
once he
Way
enters
up.
this room.
Yes. Well, hey, look, we really hope you enjoy this conversation with Sanjay.
Sanjay, how are you today? Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for inviting me for your show, Paul, Kyle, and Michael. Yeah.
So
I'm doing great today.
I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about AI today, but I think this is going to be the question I start asking people whenever we're talking about an AI topic. Tell me about the first experience you ever had with an AI product.
That's tough. I mean, no one has asked me this question before.
Yeah,
I've never asked it before.
Nailed it.
So I'm remembering few of the things. I used to work at Amazon in 2014 or 15 or so. And there I used to travel to Seattle often. And I saw Amazon doing a pilot of a store called Amazon Go at that point of time. And it was one of its kind when it was launched. You can just check and go inside the store. You don't need to do anything, just pick up goods from there and go out, and everything is like checked out for you. The
Right.
payment is debited, everything. So Amazon was doing that particular pilot. Of course, the smaller AI use cases I would have seen in the past, but that was the first big working practical use case that I saw on the ground, which was like
Yeah,
Amazon
and
Go.
I think that's interesting because for the majority of the world, AI didn't really exist until, I don't know, 2022 in their brains, right? But these big corporations have been dealing with AI since like really the early 2000s. There were already inklings of like, how do we create things that can do stuff on its own, right?
Absolutely. All those Google recommendations and all these things, like there is an element of AI behind it already, right? So
Go ahead, continue.
yeah, I mean the AI in terms of data analysis, data analytics, some of these tech has been existing for long time, but computer vision, where you see like the magic happening in front of you, is something that started getting into prominence in the last like 7-8 years or so. Yeah,
I
and
wonder where that.
ChatGPT just blown it up.
When was that movie that came out with that little kid? I just think of him as like the sad little boy because he's got those sad eyes. Haley Joel Osment, is that his name? And the movie was called AI.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the first time that I even like thought about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Right. And that was probably, I mean, I got to say that movie had to come out 15 to 20 years ago. But if that movie came out, I bet there was something going on in the tech world that somebody was like, you know what? We see this coming. we're going to make a movie about it. And now it's like movies reality.
I love guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson and stuff, though, because they bring everything back to its most rudimentary form. They're like, he's like, oh, you want flying cars? We have those. They're called helicopters. Like, and Sanjay, you made me think of this because, with Google, with what Google's worked on over the last, 20 years, if you want light reading, go learn about Google's Rank Brain, because that's been around for quite some time. And that is what Skynet might be made of.
Rank Brain fundamentally is the core machine learning base on which their search algorithms are built, right? So I haven't studied in depth, but I've heard that this is the base technology on which the entire Google search functions globally. So
Got it.
yeah.
And it's like it's like the treasury of the United States of America. Like, it is ironclad. There are like Google Rank Brain offices all over the world that, for example, we heard through the grapevine that there's an office in a lab at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, but there's no Google signage. Like, they don't want people to know what's going on in these labs.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I
But
see.
it's deep. It's funny, Sanjay, like we were just talking, I saw this notification in Slack that Slack's just released its AI to our organization. And so I started playing around with it. I'm curious, what your take is on this. If AI, let me back up. See, my brain's moving so fast. Maybe I need the AI.
It's those Meta Ray-Bans feeding you the questions.
It's asking me. John Cena is in my ear telling me what to ask. I saw a meme recently, and it said, in the year 2050, this is how the generation will communicate. And he was basically like a caveman again, prompting GPT. He was like, tell me good thing to say to girl, like it was like that. Because our brains have just morphed into GPT to the degree that we can't even communicate as humans anymore. What are you seeing? I mean, I know you're heavy into this space and software development and the implications and applications of AI. Where do you see what's happening out there? What's going on?
I think you said it right. I'm not too sure if that would be the situation, but potentially could be. But yeah, as you see things around, the way the behaviors are changing for all of us, right? So, I mean, earlier we used to think and then you used to write or you used to say anything. But now I see myself, my behavior is changing to be whenever I need to respond to anyone, I I ask ChatGPT, hey, this is the profile, this is me, this is the context. Can you come up with this direct? I mean, I mean, the kind of response that elicits some response from them, right? So, and it comes out with very well researched answer or the responses. So they're like just one of the use cases. I keep using ChatGPT for a variety of use cases and have stopped applying my brains to a lot of work, right? So
Right?
you
Well,
see, like,
but I think that I think that there's different levels of usage. One is like, here's an email, give me a response. But
yeah,
you actually are doing some critical thinking in that thing that you just said, which is like, here's something that someone said. Here's a little bit more about them. Here's a little bit more about me. What I
Context.
want is this, and this.
Yeah.
Give me some feedback in order to do that. And I think that that's the layer that I think that we have to be thinking about any of these tools with is, how do I take my knowledge of the world, my knowledge of the context of the situation, inject into what I'm using and put it in. I'd like to kind of pivot the conversation into, you have a unique knowledge. You worked at Amazon, have worked at some of these larger companies, and you saw it fit to move into automotive as a vertical that you wanted to serve.
right.
Why was that the layer that you brought to the conversation that was, hey, I'm seeing all of these things move in the world and I'm looking at retail auto and saying that's where I need to see a fit?
Yes. So we picked up merchandising as a core problem in the industry, right? So
Amen. Say that twice.
Yeah, yeah. So mostly like digital merchandising was the problem that I picked up in this particular industry. Working at Amazon and so many other e-commerce firms, realize that sellers day in day out struggle with producing high quality merchandising. I mean, the bigger sellers can hire expensive photographers, agencies, but the smaller ones, long tail, do not do that. And the photo qualities and I mean, in general, media quality is shit, very bad, right? So and that also was not helping them sell more products online. So the idea was, can we create something which is more AI first in its approach, understands what product has to be shot, how to shoot it like a photographer, and then process those images into something that Amazon understands, that maybe Auto Trader understands, that some of these like larger platforms, they have given the guidelines, and the course shoots are tuned for those guidelines. Picked up this, worked in this idea, launched something, ran it for 2 years, and then figured out that if you are going to do everything, we'll be average at everything. Right? So real estate has to be shot differently versus fashion model versus a product versus a car versus other objects, right? And that's where we realized that okay, we need to pick one category, and car was always a passion. I knew a lot of dealers in my locality, so showed them the product. They were like very happy. We got it rolled out to some of the biggest companies in the country in India, and then we saw that this use case was working like phenomenally well. And US, Europe being extremely huge market, we thought, okay, this is the direction that we'll head to.
So you actually went at like just general merchandising, could have been any type of product first.
Yeah,
Is that what
yeah.
you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
then we focused our energy to build like the best product in automotive. That was
In
the goal.
auto. Yeah, I think that's an interesting start and pivot, because when you do look at Amazon and you look at these large third-party aggregators that are very similar to auto. I always make this argument, like everyone's like, I don't want to be on the third parties, and it's like, well, the rest of the world operates that way, so why wouldn't we too? I mean, anybody like Amazon, right? That's a third party aggregator of products. Right, but when you think about, the global market, the global merchandising efforts, Nike spends millions and millions and millions of dollars a year to merchandise their shopping results pages, right? Because they know that next click is critical, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of like, wait 11 days till we get a car
Yeah.
photoed and online, because it has to get through the shop or whatever. And then it's maybe got photos and we've wasted 11 days. And I think that merchandising flow in auto, obviously we have unique VINs. It's a little bit different than like one shoe that you can shoot one time and have available for 6 months. So it's a different type of problem, but I love that you're trying to solve it. What have been some of the hardest things that you've encountered along the way when you're like, well, we set out to build it this way, but that was actually harder, or that was a mistake, or a thing that you didn't expect along the way?
Yeah, I mean, the goal that with which we started was we saw CarMax merchandising in very depth, CarMax or Carvana's merchandising in very depth, right? And understood that some of the largest companies are setting up those 100,000 worth of studios in every single location to do their photo shoots. And the idea was that hey, small dealer would not be setting up that 100,000 worth of booth because of real estate constraint and maintenance constraint and initial investment, right? But they all want that kind of a catalog, merchandising experience. Idea was, can we get every single dealer to that particular experience without having to invest in that studio? That was the idea. That I mean, it should be indifferentiable from human eye whether the car was actually shot in the studio or shot outside. That was the benchmark that we were tracing, and we launched the product. We I mean, you can check some of these studios. These are very realistic, glassy kind of reflections of the car when we produce the outcomes, right? And uh, so we create behind the scenes some 70-80 computer vision models focusing on reflections, focusing on stabilization, focusing on interior view generation, focusing on like a lot of these problems. We understand like hundreds of parts of the car, and every part are tuned in a different fashion when we process the image for this car. So the more hard problem that we got into was one was stabilization, because when you shoot a car and move around it, your hands are unstable, like, and you when you try to place it in the studio, your car will look wobbly because the studio is perfect. How do you make that car spin perfect in that particular studio. So that was one of the technologies that we worked almost like over a year to perfect with. Now, if you see our 360 spins, no matter how you shoot it outside, it will always be perfectly placed in that particular studio. Very, very smooth. This is one problem. The second was lighting problem, right? So exposure, lighting, some of these
Oh my
things.
gosh, yes.
If you shoot in the open yard, like harsh sunlight or during the later half in the day, so you'll see all like one side is lit, other side is dark. Some of these problems we kept on encountering, right? So
Yeah.
we created those exposure correction, color correction algorithms that evens the light on the car, and based on the studio's outlook, it will project that kind of a tint on that particular car. So it will look like that it was shot in the studio. Some of these things we did, which were like really hard problems. Like we stayed on these problems for months, 6 months to 12
How
months.
long did it take you to make sure that mirrors didn't disappear? Because that was my favorite thing in like early, even like 2-3 years ago. Like it's just missing a whole mirror, right? Or like the tires are gone. It's like who lifted this car and made it a hover car back to the hover car thing, right?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
like why was that an issue and how did you solve it?
Yeah, yeah. So whenever you create any kind of computer vision model or any kind of AI model, it has to understand the shape and size of that object on which it is operating, right? So that was also one of the reasons why we went into automotive, because the shapes were defined. Earlier we were doing like multiple categories. So I mean, a human versus a bag versus anything, right? So everything has a different shape. So when we picked up cars, so we trained our algorithms with, I mean, few millions of images, which were custom trained by our own annotators. And we specifically focused on this problem. Like mirror was one of the biggest hardest problems that we solved. Mirrors and antennas. So
Oh yeah, the antennas for sure.
the antennas, right? So these two were one of the toughest problems that we solved in background removal, as well as those open door shots that you take, right? So when things can go wrong. So some of these like specific harder use cases, we generated our own custom data in like hundreds of thousands, and then trained our models to make that to work. Now it works with like 98, 99% plus accuracy, and
So
you give it any kind of image, it will work.
I mean, you all do so much more than photos. You know, I heard that you're building like an AI powered teammate. And I'm assuming this kind of like delves into the whole realm of agentic AI.
Yeah.
And so tell us what you're excited about. Like, what does the roadmap look like for what you're building right now?
So we are I mean visualizing us as a company which will build AI first experiences for automotive industry, right? So merchandising was one of the use cases that we targeted, and merchandising's natural extension is to go in other use cases of inventory, which is how do you price, how do you inspect, how do you syndicate the car well. So this is like one spectrum on which we'll go very deep and build AI native experiences.
Mhm.
The second part where we are now getting into is the this entire uh, customer interaction of the dealers, right?
Mhm.
Using agentic AI. So whatever we are doing now, we are looking to bring in agentic AI first behavior. So we are building like bots for sales, service, finance, and these could be like voice chat, uh, emails, everything,
Mhm.
and be deployed in like variety of use cases. So we are already doing like a number of pilots with dealers here, and seeing like amazing results.
Explain the agentic AI just a little bit because I think some people get lost with that. Like,
Yeah.
explain exactly what it's doing and what you're hoping to have it accomplish. Because when we talk about AI, a lot of people are talking about like the ability to converse with it, but you're
Yeah.
talking about taking action. So go into like what's like in a specific use case. What are you seeing the agentic AI doing?
So agentic AI, I mean, conceptual level, it is like you do set of things, and that lead to certain results happening, right? Agentic AI is just automating all of these things where instead of a human, that particular agent is doing things and then presenting you with the results that hey, I have done this. These all are the results. Uh, I mean, if you want to set auto rules that okay, if these results are above 90% confidence, just go ahead and execute them, or I need to like check with it and do the action that whether I need to take it or reject it, right? So agentic AI in general is automating a lot of stuff that you do. Instead of you working on the software is working for you, and it is telling you the options that, okay, I've done this. Do you want to present it? Do you want to publish it? Even that could be automated, right? So merchandising, we are implementing a lot of agentic AI. Like we did the shot, instead of users signing off, we are basically signing off all of these things. We are changing the car's images in real time on website without informing the dealer, right? Based on which image is doing better. So some of these things, we are automating on its own, because we are controlling the website infrastructure now for media. And similarly, we are, so some of these things, right? So
So
which
like
car?
which image should be the first image or something
Yes,
like that.
that is one
Yeah.
of the
Interesting.
first use cases, right? When you
Yeah.
get into pricing, you will be able to, when you manage the ads. Let's say there is an agentic AI which is ad which is contextualized or trained on the ads behavior, so it automatically will increase or decrease the budgets, or choose the mediums where it needs to spend more based on how the clicks are performing, right? So you don't need a person to do all these things for you. the, the agentic AI which is trained on those use cases will do it for you, and it is way more efficient.
Yeah.
That's
I
super
think
cool.
I think that the name of the game with AI is efficiency, and it's how do I take the tasks that can be repeated, understood when it comes to data, and hand it off to something that can do it faster and more efficiently to free my people up to do the thing that they're best at.
Absolutely.
Sanjay, thank you so much for spending time with us today. We walked the gamut from like what you saw on Amazon and what we saw in the early 2000s to now what you're doing and what you're innovating on top of. And I can't wait to see what you and Spyne do as you deeper dive into automotive. Thanks for joining us today on Auto Collabs.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me here, Kyle, Paul, and Mike. And great having chat with you. You guys are like huge fun.
One of the things I'm super impressed with is the hyper focus of Sanjay and his team to fix small problems, and how all of those things add up to fixing big problems.
Yep.
Literally, that sounds maddening to me, focusing that long on the problem of reflections. But it's indicative of the fact that they understand that the small things impact the big things. And we see that a lot, even as we deploy AI quite a bit within our business. If you don't focus on the small things, the big things end up being terrible.
This is like the worst part of our human nature, which is that we want to perpetually be at the top step already.
Yeah.
And we never want to climb the steps to get there, not realizing that every step gives us a lesson needed to actually stand at the top step. But like, you want a real world, very painful implication of why people need to focus on the smaller thing and be great at it. Look at that. Dude, I just watched that documentary about the guy, the deep blue ocean, whatever.
He went down and like the whole
and there were so
submarine
many
imploded.
warnings of like, you need to focus on that thing and make that thing better. And next thing you know, it's like poof, implodes in the middle of the ocean, right? And we see that and we're like, what an idiot. But we're doing these things in our businesses every day. We're ignoring you know, the small thing. And so to your point about, that's very inspiring to have the discipline to focus
instead
on.
of asking ChatGPT, how do I change the world today? Right? It's like, how do I make sure that this employee is able to deploy this specific task and function well within my organization? Those type of specific questions, like how do I make sure that mirrors show up every time I do a background replace? You know, that's how specific we have to be in everything. And especially when you're deploying AI tools across your organization, doesn't matter if you're like doing communicative AI, agentic AI, you know, photo backgrounding, whatever it may be, being very specific with the task that person or technology is accomplishing is going to be extremely important as we move forward.
Fewer better.
There you go. Well,
Faster.
Thank you to our friend Sanjay and the team at Spyne for putting their heart, soul, and all the intention to making this industry better. On behalf of Kyle Mountsier, Michael Cirillo's new Ray-Ban Meta glasses, and myself, thank you so much for joining us on Auto Collabs.
Welcome to Auto Collabs.
Why are we recording?
Are we rolling yet?